that's for me. If you look at it from a cost perspective, the whole trip may have cost $20,000 bucks. One bomb cost $1 million. One so-called smart bomb cost $1 million. The change that happened in the process of what I did and the kind of diplomacy that was created and the number of people we impacted is enormous for a fraction, a mini fraction of the cost of what a bomb would cost. Far more longer lasting building process than a bomb would do. A bomb destroys, creates enemies, clearly. Yes, it may kill somebody that wants to harm us, but also in the process creates enemies. The only way it can undo the harm people that are creating against us is by creating alternatives to people, by giving them a different paradigm, by showing the best face you have. The U.S. has a lot of good things to offer to the world, lots of wonderful precedences that we can offer to the world. We are veering away from those things, so we're kind of just focusing on that military approach to solving problems. That never has been a solution anywhere in the world that has lasted. You know, it always have some immediate, solutions in a sense. Oh well, we got rid of our enemy, but the enemy is growing underneath us, and we don't realize it till years later. The whole idea of blowback. How many times do we have to go through that process before we start realizing this is not a solution.
Okay. Let's ask you about. I'd like to ask you about public relations, since it kind of ties into that. Now, right down the street, our president lives. We see his helicopter coming in and out, and I would assume that you maybe share some of the feelings of some of the folks I've spoken to. A lady representing Code Pink Women, and basically what she said was that she did vote for Mr. Obama, but she was disappointed because she felt that he essentially, as she put it, lied because he promised that he would bring the troops out of Afghanistan, that he would cut back on military spending, that he would increase spending in education, that he would spend more money and time on domestic concerns. And she feels that he completely misrepresented his intentions. And in fact, she said, and I asked her, who would you vote for this time? I assume you wouldn't vote. She wouldn't vote Republican. I asked her if she would vote for an independent candidate. She said no. She doesn't feel that would work based on Al Gore's experience. So she almost said, I'm going to sit out this one. Do you agree with that approach? I mean, obviously, I don't see you as the kind of person that would sit out on a national election.
I think the problem is we always have, put our eggs in one basket oftentimes, and we look at these guys who are politicians. By definition, the politician has to sway with the wind, So for us to look at Obama as being the savior is very short-sighted and probably not very well thought about. And so I think we have to stop looking at these politicians as being the solution. Movements is really the solution to the problems. I think when you create the movements, then the politicians will follow. That's been, I think, something that's been missing. People saw Obama as being the be-all, end-all. I never really saw him as a be-all, end-all. I think he was an important president.
But did you vote for him?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Would you vote for him again? Would you vote for him again?
I think I would vote for him again. I think it depends on who's obviously running against him. Clearly the slate of candidates that seem to be.
I doubt that you would vote Republican. So I would. Okay. So
I would probably vote for him, but I think it would be a vote that would not be intended as an endorsement to Obama, but basically allowing a little bit more space for movements to take shape. The movements certainly that I believe in and I want to be able to promote.
Okay.
So I don't look at a president as being bad or good or evil or anything like that. I just see them as being a figurehead that responds to the pressures that are underneath them. Now, when the pressures are so moneyed that one corporation's impact has far more repercussions and lots of people demonstrating in front of him. What we have to do is be able to address those issues and figure out why are we spending so much money on the military? Why are we spending so much money on these homeland security measures that some of them may be valid, but many of them are not, and they only create more problems than they solve. And we have to stop thinking this idea that the only way we can solve these problems is through killing every everybody around us who may not like us. You know, part of diplomacy is being able to deal with the enemies. Part of being a human is being able to deal with the enemy. We do it every day in our everyday life. You know, we have, you know, family that we have to deal with. We have neighbors we have to deal with. We don't go around killing our neighbors if we don't like them. We try to figure out some kind of solution. You know, I just don't understand how we continue to sort of take it as a fait accompli that this is just the way it is. That we have to make this military because there's so many people that want to see us, you know, destroyed. It's not.
Let me ask you about this, though. Have you spoken with Secretary of State Clinton about this? I mean, she's sort of right in the middle of...
I haven't talked to her personally. I've talked to people in the State Department, higher ups in the State Department that are involved in these issues, and they all recognize this. I mean, they all say, imagine what it would be like if the military budget was put into the State Department, and the State Department budget went into the military. It'd be a whole different world.
But could we realistically win over our adversaries that way without having the ability to drop a bomb? Yes.
Yes. I mean,
but where do you think? How do you think that could possibly work? Though?
Why we, you know, we create the militaries. We sell the shit to these people. We use all kinds of countries as intermediaries, but we sell this crap. We make this crap,
and people buy it.
And people buy it clearly.
But why would they buy it? Why do they buy it?
Very wealthy from it. Because we create fear. We create the need. People want to have a gun. They want to have a gun because they want to have power over somebody.
Are Americans the only ones that do that, though?
I think we are the biggest purveyors of it.
But are we the only ones?
Of course not.
Okay.
Of course not. We have, you know, this paradigm is not just here in America. We are the largest purveyor of violence in the world. There's no question about that. I think we have killed more people than many other people combined all over the world, many other countries. We have to recognize that and say, you know what, maybe there's a better way. But unless you take the money formula out, unless you take that idea that the military has enriched so many people, when I'm making my living from something, I'm going to convince myself that I'm doing the right thing. Nobody wants to feel like, oh, I'm evil. You know, nobody wants to feel that way. People want to feel like they're doing the right thing.
Oh, even Hitler felt that way. He probably justified his actions in his way.
Everyone justifies their actions, whatever they do. You know. But I think so. We have created this kind of sort of situation where people are dependent on their livelihood. I mean, I'm from Iraq. I was very upset about the invasion of Iraq. The idea that we could have solved the problem in Iraq in a whole different way. I really believe that. And I would be sitting there at my kid's soccer game or something, or swim meet or something, and I'm standing next to the guy who just came back from Iraq, who just obliterated a village or obliterated a building with lots of people in it, killed a lot of people. And they're very comfortable, you know, timing their...
And he felt justified.
The swim team or soccer team, Little League, you know, and I always was intrigued by that. How is it possible for someone to have done so much, has killed other people's children, is able to just come here and coach my kids in a soccer game? It's very strange. And we...
Did you feel comfortable sitting next to that person?
I end up challenging them, but people can compartmentalize. We as human beings have to do that, otherwise we go crazy. So we compartmentalize our lives in whole different ways, and we create situations that make us feel good about what we do. So the military has, you know, if I'm getting my money from the military, if I'm getting all this stuff from the military, if I'm teaching my kids, if I'm taking my, you know, kids to college, if I'm paying for my home, the military sounds really, really good to me, and I'm going to justify everything that I do that falls under that structure.
Okay.
So.
Let me ask you one quick question. Would you consider yourself to be, now you're a successful business owner, you've obviously got a great business plan, you got many great people working for you, you've got a fantastic atmosphere. I just want people to know who are not from Washington, D.C., that they should see Busboys and Poets on 14th Street at V, and then across the street there's Eatonville, named after, I believe, Zora Neale Hurston, and then on 5th and K we have also another Busboys. We also have one in Shirlington, and I would imagine you probably have plans for some other places. Hyattsville as well. What a great art center Hyattsville is. Yeah. Now, would you describe yourself as a capitalist? Is that a fair description?
I am. I believe that there's a different way in the way we do it. I think there needs to be. I am not I am not of the mind that taxing the rich is the solution. I'm really not of the mind of that.
Would that affect you directly, do you think?
I would end up paying more taxes, but that's not the reason why I'm